FOMO Friday, guys. Welcome back to another one. Today I want to talk to you guys about two stocks, and you already know what they are because they're the ones I'm the most bullish on right now, and I've been continuously talking about them on this channel, and that's Hillcrest Energy Technologies, and MVMD, Mountain Valley MD, right? Now, we want to talk about a few things today. First of all, for Heat, they had their webinar yesterday, right, live, and of course I did watch that, and I took some nice notes on some of the things that they're doing, some of the things that they're planning to do here, and it's really, really bullish stuff. So I'm just going to go through my notes here on that. Talk a little bit about what I think moving forward for Hillcrest then with some of the news on the webinar. Then I want to talk to you guys about MVMD. Interestingly enough, today they actually announced that they're going to do not really a live webinar, but sort of a Q&A as well coming up. So do watch out for that. I'll be watching that as well. And again, Dennis Hancock just wants to address some of the, short report information that's going out there that doesn't really adequately describe their company, and just wants to sort of let us know as shareholders what they have in store in the future. So I'm really excited for that as well. But recently in MVMD, we'll just go through MVMD first, is we've just been dropping in price, right? We're at the 0.6 level right now, and honestly I think it's a great price to get in. Like, I don't see us going too much lower. We hit sort of a big resistance level at kind of the November levels, which is around that 0.45 level, and we did come down to there and instantly jump back up to that 0.6. So maybe try and set a limit order for around that 0.55 level ish, and maybe it'll hit. That's what I like to do, is just set some limit orders there. There's this really good interview actually with Dennis Hancock on the Dales report, and I will link it in the description below. You guys should check out that video because Dennis talks about some of the things he's working on, and the Dales report, the guy who does the interview, is really good. It gives some really good questions. They go into what's in store for MVMD, with some of the trials they have and as well that the cancer research stuff, we should get some news on that in the next 30 days. That's going to be really positive because again, if you watch the Dales report interview down below, you'll kind of see what they're doing, which for cancer specifically too, if you go closer to the end of the video, starting about 17 minutes onwards, and he goes into how there's some really positive reports lately, and journal articles about about ivermectin, which are quite recent, and how they can help kind of treat cancer with some of the drugs available, because they make those drugs again more effective with ivermectin, and that's the same for cancer treatment. Now we have to remember MVMD has the only solubilized ivermectin that is safe for human consumption. And then we get back to some of the things that I've already mentioned about MVMD with their kind of low viscosity solubilized ivermectin that they have, and how it uses no kind of harmful excipients, etc. And that's why there's going to be so much kind of good things coming out of it for cancer, for other things for human consumption, but also that husbandry animal category, which Dennis also goes into in the video, and how he says that is really going to be where potentially some of the more near-term revenues are going to come from, because they can quickly get through trials, first of all, but also just because it's such a big kind of sector there for husbandry animals dying because of these parasites, etc., which they can't treat, and then they have to kill off the entire kind of herd, let's say, of those animals. And he says how basically that's going to be much kind of a bigger and more effective kind of space there, aka more revenues as well in that space than even kind of the COVID application there. So again, the recent trials, we actually kind of crashed in stock price because of that. But I think that COVID news, even though it was really good news, and it kind of, the trials showed that it does eradicate COVID-19 in sort of mice and in vitro, but there's still some a lot kind of bigger applications than that we're going to start seeing that come to fruition moving forward in MVMD. So do watch out for that, and do check out that Dale's Report interview. It's about 20 minutes or so, but it gives you a lot of good information. Now I want to really get into heat, because the webinar yesterday was extremely good. Some great information came out of that. We had Berger, we had Don Curry there, and I've got my notes here, and I'm just going to go through some of the things and then kind of talk about what I see for that moving forward. We'll start off with, they talk about their management team, and they say how their core management team is going to continue to grow. Now, they also say, their strategic advisors, etc., are going to grow as well. Now, they already have some insane kind of strategic advisors here in Michael Moskowitz as well. With Panasonic, they talk about how great of a kind of thing they have going with Michael Moskowitz. The fact that they were able to get him on the board, that is alone very bullish. And I was saying that in my last video, how, a CEO of Panasonic wouldn't just come to any company to kind of be a strategic advisor there. It would have to be a very strong looking company that can really generate some big revenues moving forward. And we're going to get into that as well, because they say they're already ready for commercialization. The fact that Berger, he brought the software with Inigo, but he also brought some hardware applications, and those together, they could move to commercialization already from that. However, they're looking for kind of the best possible opportunities with the best possible kind of revenue stream, and moving forward from that, where they can generate the most profits, most value for shareholders. So yes, they could commercialize right now, but they've opted not to, because they think that they can have some better hardware with their software moving forward, and commercialize that for even bigger revenues, right? So, and that's kind of what they say their biggest hurdle is, because it's really funny, because Ari, when asked about sort of some of the hurdles that they're going to be crossing, or that they have to cross in order to kind of get Hillcrest to that next level, and he said they don't have any hurdles. He's like, I can't think of a single hurdle. Now, the one hurdle that was mentioned is the hurdle of deciding which application and kind of which route to commercialization, to market, that they want to actually implement, right? And that's their biggest hurdle, is choosing which technology they actually want to go to market with, and which is the best kind of use of their funds at the current levels. So that is really good stuff, in my opinion. So let's just continue going through some of these notes, though. They say Panasonic has their fingers in many different places that we would like to get into. Now, that was Don Curry who said that. And that just shows to me, like I was saying in my last video, how because Panasonic, Michael Moskowitz is now a strategic advisor, that they could really get some new partnerships and acquisitions from kind of Panasonic, and work with some of the companies that Panasonic works with. And that obviously can lead to very significant revenues for heat in this kind of new tech space, right? Clean tech space. So we will probably see Panasonic, or some of the companies that Panasonic owns or works with, working with Hillcrest in the near future. And that alone, when that information comes out, I think we're going to see a jump in the stock price there. Still speculation, obviously, but from what he said, it seems like they're going to be working with some companies there. Next, also going off of that, they say they would like to share more opportunities about what they're doing, right? About their opportunities that they're pursuing right now, but they can't because of competition. And they're kind of smiling the whole time, as if, they really know something that we don't know. And of course they do. And of course, Michael Moskowitz of Panasonic knows a lot that we don't know, and just kind of shows a lot of the potential that Hillcrest could be implementing here soon, and kind of sharing with us soon as well, because they do go into, and Don says straight up, he says, there are other partnerships and acquisitions that we're looking into right now, and you'll see kind of news on that when it's kind of definitive, or when we kind of plan to move forward with those partnerships or acquisitions. So there are more in the pipeline right now, and just that alone tells me we're going to see a move in the share price from that, because even just getting Michael Moskowitz on kind of as a strategic advisor it moved the stock price about 20%, and we didn't really come back down from that. And I see kind of the same thing if we see sort of more acquisitions, more partnerships coming out. Now, closer to the end as well, Don says, and he says, this isn't my quote, but I really like this quote. And he says, the company, Hillcrest, is going to be a completely different company 1 year from now than it is today. And we can't tell you any specifics, but just know that that is what kind of I think is kind of what he's saying, and that, you know, that's kind of what other people think as well. So that is extreme something to say there, because they're already a different company now working in kind of that clean energy space, or trying to move into that clean tech space. And although it's really competitive, it seems like what they have here is also very special. And we know that is the case, but the fact that he says it's going to be a completely different company 1 year from now, it tells me that they will be moving to commercialization kind of within the next year, hopefully. Now, going off of that again, we have that deal with Systematic, right? And I told you guys how important this deal is going to be and how kind of strong this deal is, but I didn't really realize kind of the extent to that, because Ari as well kind of has known Systematic for years, right? So they say in the webinar about 6 or 7 years that Ari's been kind of working with Systematic here. And he says they're one of the best design houses in the world. And that's coming from Ari Berger, right? The guy who has taken X-Row kind of to that next level and is looking to do the same thing with heat, but even to a greater extent. He says he's moved to heat because he knows that the people who work for heat, the management team, etc., they're all aiming for the moon. He literally says aiming for the moon. And he talks about how they're not afraid to kind of go after and become like a huge company here, which apparently wasn't the case for X-Row, or it was, but not to the extent that heat is going to be. And that's part of the reason why he decided to come over there, as he saw that Don wanted to kind of get into that clean tech, clean energy space there. So really big stuff there. And you know, the fact that, again, Ari says that the deal with Systematic, they also go into how they're going to have kind of the same warehouse set up so that they can in real time kind of make adjustments and continue implementing at the same time together, but they're in different places, right? One's in Europe and one is in North America. And this is where I think a lot of their kind of newest technology, which they will be looking to commercialize, is going to come from, because it was Ari who brought that there, right? It was Ari who got that partnership with Systematic, and it was Ari who also, again, like I said earlier, brought the software to heat and also brought hardware with it for commercialization. However, they've decided we're not going to commercialize these products because we can do a better with a deal with Systematic, and we can essentially implement Systematic's hardware, which is going to be better than what Ari Berger brought for hardware, and implement Ari Berger's software with heat. And that is going to be kind of the product that they try and commercialize, in my opinion, in the future. Because that's going to be where they can generate the biggest revenues. Now, we don't know really what that IP is going to look like. We don't know what that technology is going to fully look like, but we will soon. And I think it's going to be, considering the fact that they're not implementing any commercialization on the current technologies that they do have, that they could commercialize, is going to be very strong IP, strong technology. And apparently, you know, Michael Moskowitz and a lot of these other new people that joined the company believe that as well. It also sounds like the Regenx, all that kind of technology with Thane Hines, is now being put on the back burner. Thane hasn't been cooperating. It seems like that's kind of what they were trying to allude at. You know, some people don't, they said something like some people don't align the same way as heat aligns with some of the things they want to achieve. And because of that sort of, you know, they said it in a nice way, but essentially that is kind of put on hold until better things can happen there. And they said a little bit something similar with ACDC. You know, they say not every kind of acquisition, not every partnership that we're going to be doing is going to work out. And it seems like ACDC might be one of those. They are still looking at that Ecoville project in Squamish, but again, for now, it's kind of up to ACDC to move forward with that, and come together with Heat to form a deal, because also Don says they are now in a position of power where they don't need to go around and look for IP, look for technology, look for partnerships or acquisitions, although they are, but they don't need to take any that they don't think is going to help them in the future. They're only taking the best ones that they know they're going to be able to kind of really make some good revenues off of, really make some good ROI on, and really just kind of the best projects for the resources spent in Hillcrest. And so that often doesn't involve some of the companies that they were going to work with in the past, just because they have kind of better opportunities now to go after, right? So that is great. Now, a final point that I wanted to make, actually two final points I wanted to make. First of all, it's really, again, up to them. They're in a position of power with deciding on whether they want to have JVs, whether they want to have license agreements, whether they want to do their own production, or any kind of other means of making this revenue. It's really going to be up to them to decide that when the time comes, with the companies that they want to partner with the companies that want to buy their IP from them, or license their IP from them. And so again, they're really in a position of power here, because their technology seems to be that good that they don't need to kind of chase down anything, if that makes sense. So that is really, really good stuff there, I think, and it really tells me that they're kind of new acquisitions and new partnerships that they want to get going here are going to be really, really strong partnerships with some, maybe not the biggest of companies, but some major companies in this field already. So amazing stuff. And again, they kind of say, they allude to the fact that they want to commercialize within the next sort of year here, right? Beginning to mid of 2022, essentially, because the company is going to look completely different in a year from now. Now, the final point I want to make is on their oil revenues, because I did some numbers on kind of their oil revenues here. And right now, they have a 75K burn rate and 200K oil revenues. Now, Michael Cruz, right, who's also on the board, was talking about how they can kind of expand their oil revenues here up to 400K per month. Now, they do have to spend some money to kind of implement that and get there. But the point is, and this comes back to how they're kind of using their resources and using their cash to the best possible way they can. Now, they say if this does end up being kind of the best route they could take with their resources, and I don't think it is, and I don't think it will be, but if it is, they can go up to 400,000 per month in revenues. And doing the numbers on that, I got to a price target of about 0.6, right? So, and they're currently trading at 0.2. So that's about 200% upside if they implement this technology. But again, they want to use their resources to the best possible, ROI here. And they want to kind of implement the best way of doing that. And the way they can do that might not be those oil revenues. It might be, again, commercialization of their clean tech with Systematic and with Berger with Heat, right? And that combination likely to commercialization is going to be the best route for their cash. And then they won't be implementing this oil revenue, but that would still give them a price target of about 0.6. So that means that essentially their lowest price target for the next year and a half would be about 0.6, which is, again, 200% upside. So that alone has me extremely bullish on the company, because with those numbers I ran, this is essentially a for sure thing that they can get up to 400K oil revenues per month. And that would just kind of lengthen the process of moving to the clean tech industry. So again, that's why I'm so bullish on Heat, because you're basically for sure getting that 200% upside, but likely much more. And with some of the price targets and commercialization that I have for heat with some of that clean tech stuff, even though it's very, very speculative, I do see the price much higher than that. So in that sense, it kind of is a safe play in a way, because we know that we're going to see quite a lot of upside, even if it is just to that 0.4 level. We're still getting about 100% upside on that. So keep all that in mind, and just kind of, they're really making big moves, and they have a backup plan on a backup plan there with those oil revenues, just in case, you know, some of this clean energy stuff doesn't work out, which I do think it will, because again, they have Berger, they have that systematic deal, and they could already commercialize but have decided against it because of some other technology that they could be implementing soon here, that they could be coming out with soon, and that they could be commercializing with within the next year to year and a half here, really. So that's going to really do it for the video today. I hope you liked it. Again, still really bullish on MVMD, still really bullish on heat, and those are kind of the two stocks that I'm adding to. I'm literally adding to no other stocks in my portfolio. Yes, I'm still holding fuel cell energy. Yes, I'm still very bullish on it. I'm still holding Plug Power. I'm still holding CMC. Those are my other big holdings. I'm still holding Tesla. I have, though, sold some of those shares and bought heat with that instead. So keep that in mind as well. And again, that's going to do it for the video today. It's been a long video, but I just there was a lot to cover, especially from that webinar, and we'll do another one of these for that MVMD Q&A coming up. So have a wonderful weekend, and goodbye for now.